Good afternoon, everybody. This is Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate. We are here with Mayor Colleen Powell to take your questions and discuss what have been happening with Town Council since the last meeting. Good afternoon, Mayor Powell.
Good afternoon, Heather. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the Rotary Trail.
Oh, we're going to start with the Rotary
Sure.
Trail. Well, Rotary, as most of you are aware, has been building trails throughout the town for the town and for the use of everyone. There was a small trail built to the new high school, but it needed paving, and the kids were not using it. So they paved it just recently, and the kids are using it. So we're incredibly grateful for that. It saves you and me and any other taxpayer a fair bit of money from that paving, and kudos again to the Rotary.
Right. Yeah, it is a nice little, I like how they didn't just make it just a straight line either. There's kind of a little curve. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
The next thing was the Energy Futures Roadshow.
All right. I don't know if we've talked about this before. I've got their blurb here. We are doing a roadshow in town, the purpose of which is to look at energy futures, look at the ways we can transition to new energy, make use of old energy, and bring together business, industry, the public, and anybody who has an interest in these things. So we've done we've done one workshop, another one tomorrow, and there's 2 more to go. And we're hoping to get some high school students, some of the senior science students, because the youth always bring in energy and ideas and all kinds of things. But
right.
There's some very interesting things that they're looking at. And if you are interested, please let me know, and I'll get you in touch with them because we still have some open spots.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously it is very important to get the youth involved because they have a lot longer to have to deal with the mess and finding energy solutions. So yeah, it has been printed in the Advocate. You can look back for articles on that, or probably contact the town for the link, or whatever.
And they've done a number of small towns in Alberta, and we're the latest one. I think they did Slave Lake recently, and they've done Drayton Valley and a few others. I can't remember them all right now, but it's a good group.
All right, so last night at Town Council, there was a presentation, a request made to consider a toboggan run.
Yes, Rotary Club again. Morris Gushta came. I've actually got this out here. And they've got a steering committee of Reg Stapley, Morris Gushta, Noel Major, and Jerry Kislick. And they're looking at the old dump site. Now, those of you who are fairly new to town, it is down on the right-hand side of where the bridge across the Athabasca is. And we can't do anything there because it is an old dump. We're not even supposed to let trees grow.
Right.
So it's a perfect spot. There's lots of undulating hills, and they said there's places that we could park both at the top and the bottom. So we're all excited about this, but we've asked administration to go and look at the site, come back with assessments and what we can do.
Right.
They're also hoping that in the future, she says turning the page, they could look at a larger center for winter activities, maybe a skating rink, maybe skiing, and so forth. Right. But that's down the road. Right now, a toboggan run. And yeah, we're a town of hills. I know my kids used to take they weren't toboggans, they were those slippery things, down the back just by the town office here, and I was hoping they wouldn't end up on Highway 2. So yeah, this is a better solution, and I'm hoping we can get this in the works very quickly.
All right. Okay, this is Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate. For those just tuning in, we're having a discussion with Mayor Powell about what is happening with Town Council and the events going on around town. So we just talked about the extension to the Rotary Trail up along University Drive, had a discussion about the Energy Futures Roadshow and the possibility of a toboggan run coming to the area. We will now talk about the crosswalk at 49th Street and 50th Avenue that came up for discussion last night.
Yeah, this was brought up at our Public Works meeting and forwarded to council. Anybody who has pushed the light to cross the road at the Husky intersection to go to the market, say, or across to the skateboard park, know that this is a very dangerous intersection. You have to be very, very careful. So we're going to write a letter to transportation asking them for a solution. I know they won't put that orange flashing light up because we've asked for that before, but there may be other solutions that can simply alert traffic that somebody is crossing the road at that point.
Right.
So yeah, that's one of our dangerous intersections. And I think, frankly, when I'm crossing the road, I always go up to the lights.
Yeah, the other one that's down to the east farther.
That's not so great either, but.
No, you kind of have to go out of your way depending on where you want to go, definitely. Yeah, especially during the summer, that's a very busy crosswalk right there at the Husky to try and get over to the farmer's market or different activities. In the past, it's like the, what am I talking about? The Moonlight Madness during the parade and stuff. You get a lot of people down there that are crossing back and forth. So
those times aren't so dangerous. I mean, I know when I'm driving on the Saturdays, I know that market's there, so I'm watching. But it's other times when there may not be any special event on, but kids are going over to the skateboard park or parents are going over to have a picnic or you're going over to the food trucks.
mm-hmm.
And that's when it's unexpected and that's when it's really dangerous.
Right.
So if we can get something from transportation, that would be really good.
Okay, so coming up will be the council retreat. Can you just let viewers know how is this retreat going to be different to previous years and what actually happens at a council retreat?
Okay, usually we leave town. The reason for that is that you are closeted together for 2 to 3 days, depending. Usually we're 1.5 to 2 days, and it's sort of a pressure cooker experience, and you plan out your year. So that's part of it. So we'll be looking at our operating plans for next year. We'll be looking at our strategic plans. Where do we want to go? We're going into an election next year. So how, if we start something new, it's a little, you've got to be careful because the new council can say, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to do something else. But you have to plan your year out. You have to know where you're going and why you're going there. And we will also get a preview of the budget.
Right.
And work from there. And as everybody is aware, costs are up, money's down. We're being hit this year with RCMP costs from the provincial government. I think it's 84,000. Last year it was 54. This goes directly on your property taxes. We have no choice. That goes in an envelope and is sent to Edmonton. It annoys me. But because it's in your property taxes, that means that we have to be very careful what kind of tax rate we put on you guys. So we'll see where that goes. They're pretty well finished their first kick at the cat with the preliminary budget, so they'll be presenting that at retreat. And we'll iron out any issues we see that have come up and try to sort them out. This is a good group to work with.
Yeah. Okay. What is the Municipal Energy Management Agreement and what does that mean?
All right. This goes along with costs are up, money's down. The MCCA, Municipal Climate Change Action something, partnered with AUMA, our provincial association, received government grants. So the 3 communities, the county, the Village of Boyle, and us, received a large grant, and I'm sorry, I don't know the full amount, but we pay 20%. And that comes to, I believe, $80,000, which is going to be split, I believe, 40-30-30, but we haven't quite worked that one out yet, to hire a manager to do an audit of every public building, an energy audit, the purpose of which is to see where we can reduce costs, where we can tighten up. Simple things. Are we using the right light bulbs? Important things. No, that specific issue should not be done that way. This is a cheaper and better way to do it. Other communities have saved quite a bit of money doing this, and we thought it was an opportunity we couldn't miss.
Okay. Do you know who's doing the audit?
We haven't hired yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're in the process. And council doesn't do the hiring. Remember, all councils hire one person, and that's the town manager, CAO, and that person hires everybody else.
Okay. So the 3-year contract with Direct Energy, what does that mean? Is that for just municipal buildings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a different provider, and we figure that we're going to save around $12,000 doing it with Direct Energy. So we've signed a 3-year deal with them, and we'll see where it goes. We've been looking around for a while to see if there's a better way to pay for our energy. Again, looking for savings.
Okay. We do have a question online here, and I actually don't think you can answer it. I will read it, but I will say, Chris, who asked the question, I will get back to you because I believe I have that information. So the question is, do Calling Lake residents pay that same additional property tax for the RCMP? So
I believe they do as part of the
MD.
The MD of opportunity. Now, if they are on the reserve side, that would be a completely different kettle of fish. But if they're in Calling Lake proper, yes, they would. I don't know what their share would be. It would be determined by the government. We were not collaborated with on this. We were simply told. So I mean, I know the county started at 200,000 and goes up to 600 after when they've reached the limit. We go up to 178. I'm guessing. I haven't got those figures in front of me. So opportunity, it would depend on their assessment and population, I believe. Right. I can't remember how they exactly do that, but yes, they would. Mm-hmm. Any community that uses the RCMP, if you want me to spend a little more time, right now the RCMP funding, or until this came into effect, the federal government pays 30%, or roughly 110 million, and the province paid 70%. Municipalities who use the RCMP, urbans over 5,000, paid the full shot for their detachment. The rural areas paid nothing. Now that wasn't fair, so we've been advocating, we rurals, for a change. This was not the change we wanted. However, what they're doing now is it looks like they're moving to the municipalities using RCMP to pay 30 to 35, the province paying 35, and the feds paying 30. But the province is also talking about a provincial police force. So where that comes down in the end, I don't honestly know. But it does mean that we are ending up paying a fair whack of this, and it goes directly on your property tax.
Yes, yeah. So that kind of goes back to the Klein era, and that's when the sheriffs actually, where they originated, was under Premier Ralph Klein. And at that time, they, the same comments were going around that this was going to be a provincial police force.
Well, you're hearing different, yeah, I think they looked at it in those days and decided not to. Again, the feds contribute 110 million, I'm told, right now. So if you're going to do a provincial police force, you have to find that money or do it differently, and I'm not really sure. They may do it, they're looking at it. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, moving to a provincial police force, though, right, we would lose that federal money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? We aren't getting any questions online. We do have a few viewers, though, so if you've missed this is Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate.
Well, I'm looking at, when you do this every 2 weeks, frankly, there's not a lot of change.
No.
I will reiterate that the COVID numbers in Alberta are going up. They're not going up here. We do have, I believe, one active case in the county. And the problem is that we figure, well, we should do this because we're good citizens. But you still have to remember, all we need is one person who goes around and talks to 50 people, and then we have a problem. So please, use a mask when you're in public buildings. Wash your hands. Keep your distance. Heather's a good 2 meters from me. I don't even know your name. Am is 3 meters maybe
Yeah.
from me. So please, and don't buy into the stories that this is, just a hoax. It's not. It's real.
Mhm.
And even though not everybody dies, more do than do from the flu. This is not the flu. So please be careful.
Right. Speaking of that, can we ask if you get your flu shot?
I haven't organized. I haven't got it yet, but I certainly will be. I get the flu shot every year.
Yeah, I do. I do as well. So.
Yeah, and I've noticed in the drugstore there's lineups to get the flu shot this year. So if you haven't got it, please get it because I have a feeling they're not going to have enough.
Yeah, Monday I called and I was told they ran out, and yeah, so I would suggest that people who want it call ahead and make sure that it's there. Don't just make the trip down and presume that they're going to have it.
Yeah, I've been told more or less you should make an appointment.
Right.
And you can go to the health unit too.
I'm actually this year I'm not entirely sure. I think you have to book ahead though.
Oh, no, you always have to book ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I imagine all 3 drugstores are doing this.
I would suspect, yeah.
And the health unit. So
Yeah.
and sometimes the doctors do it too if they have, but it just depends. They're probably too busy doing other things.
Right. Right.
I haven't got too much more. Our meeting last night was fairly simple. We had our organizational meeting. Every year we have to organize again, and that's setting council committees and our meeting dates. So we did that, and we also did a covenant with the CAO, which promises good behavior on both sides, which is a good thing to do. And actually, right now, we have a really good, productive working staff, both inside and out, and the CAO and council get on like a house on fire. So where did that expression come from?
I'm not sure.
House on
Yeah.
fire. It sounds like...
Sounds bad, but it means something
But it
good.
is good, yeah.
The covenant, though, that wasn't because of anything. That's just a normal procedure.
It's just a normal thing because her probationary period was up. So this is the final step in that. And looking at the agenda, I can't see anything here that is particularly awful or good or bad. We're continuing to do our normal work. There will be the 2 municipal law firms do law seminars in February. And this year, at least the first one, is offering free seminars. So I'm encouraging all of council to attend them. Some years it's more specific to administration, how you do your coding of certain things with infrastructure perhaps. Other times it's policies and legislation that's more attributable to councilors. And I would say this is our last organizational meeting. There's an election next year. We're down 1 councilor now. I will not be running again. So there's at least 2 positions that we have to fill with new people. So if you have an interest in municipal politics, come on down. This is different than the legislature or the House of Commons. We're not here to fight. There's 7 people sitting around a table, and you have to, on your own, discuss issues, not people, and you'll get business done. You will actually find it quite a rewarding experience. You need time, though, because the committee work can take 10 to 15 hours a week. Right. A month, I should say. No, a week. You need that because there's a lot of reading. Right. There's also, you must take a Muni 101 course from the government to let you know what you're getting into, because this is an onion, and every layer you peel, there's another layer, and sometimes you cry. But generally, it's well worth it. And I would, anybody who's community minded, you don't have to be a genius to do this. The only qualifications for being a counselor is being a citizen and living here.
Right.
It's the only job you don't need any qualifications for.
We do have a question online from Kendra. Will town council be revisiting a mandatory mask policy?
We will look at a mandatory mask policy if there's an uptick in the cases. Like many municipalities, we would prefer if the provincial government took on that responsibility. I do encourage people to use masks, and I encourage businesses, if they so feel that people should use masks. And I know there was an incident with one person. You can, I stand up to these people, really. Wear your mask. I know some people forget, some people don't think it's important. It's very few that are really got to be in their bonnet about it.
Mhm.
But we won't do it right now. I'm, and I think most of us are like this, firmly on the fence,
Mhm.
in that we don't want to force this on people when it's not necessary. On the other hand, we know that many businesses would prefer a mask policy, but some don't want it. And so we're leaving it up to them right now, and to offices and institutions and whatnot. And again, with one case, and we've had 12, I believe,
Stretched out, yes.
over these, how many months is it now? 8 months?
8 months.
I don't think that's enough right now to do that. However, we watch it. We do.
Barhead Council had a discussion that they directed administration to look into one that would be triggered, a preemptive bylaw. Would that be something you would consider?
That's not a bad idea. I hadn't thought of that. I don't know. I'd have to ask the health people what the number would be to trigger it. Because the information we get is simply what you get. We're not a watch area. If you look at the map, the watch areas are basically Calgary and Edmonton and Smoky Lake County for some reason. Who knows? So it means that this is not an area of great concern right now. So how many cases? It's usually a number per 100,000. So you subtract it down. That would trigger that, and that's not a bad idea. You could look at that.
Right.
I might take that to retreat.
Okay, there you go. We have 7 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, this is Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate, here talking live with Mayor Powell. We have talked about the addition to the Rotary Trail up along University Avenue, the Energy Futures Roadshow. Did you want to touch on that quickly again for people that have tuned in later with us?
Well, the Energy Futures Roadshow is put on by the Energy Futures Lab, and I'll just read one of their, I had it out here and now I can't find it. Harnessing the combined knowledges, resources, skills, and networks to help Alberta communities to face challenges and opportunities they're facing in light of energy transition. Some of the things they're looking at, and each community is different, they said. Some communities want to look at solar. Some want to look at repurposing old oil wells. Some of them want to look at geothermal. Some of them want to look at bitumen in a non-combustible form. Apparently, it's useful for all kinds of things. I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain that. And lithium. Alberta has a whole bunch of lithium. Part of it comes from old oil wells, but I know there's a field around Leduc that might be explored in the next few years. And what can local businesses do? How can you take what a local business is doing that could help work towards that without sort of saying, you're gone? So for example, solar panels, somebody has to make the frames. Why not have it done locally? So there's all kinds of things where you can make use of the jobs and skills that people already have, and the industrial strength that you may have in the community. Working with LPAC would be very useful. They now, do take a lot of their waste product and convert it into energy for the grid. There's other things they do. I know they've been looking at all kinds of things over the years. Let's work with them.
Right.
Maybe we can find a way to reduce our energy costs even further by making use of new technology or repurposing old technology. There's a lot of things that can be done. And these are some of the things that they're talking about with the roadshow.
Right. So there are 3 sessions with the Energy Futures Roadshow.
Well, left. There's 4 altogether,
right.
yeah. And The first one was more or less exploring narratives and ideas, and then we start getting down to more specifics about what can be done in our location.
Right.
And the goal is to have something concrete at the end.
Okay.
The last thing, I guess, did we talk about homelessness last week or the week before?
Yes, we talked about the MAP program.
Yeah, with the MAP program, I haven't got any updates. I believe we're still looking for a location, and we were hoping to contact perhaps some of the camps that aren't being used to make use of one of their buildings. I worked in an industry once, back when Moses was in short pants, more or less. We called them skips, which were effectively trailers without wheels. But that was in another country. I have no idea what they call them here, but it's that kind of thing.
Right.
And we just need a location for 5 months that is close to downtown, but not in a location that will impact the neighborhood.
Right.
And has access to sewer and water.
Right. So, yeah, if anybody's aware of any the ATCO style trailers.
And the Native Friendship Centre is taking the lead on this, and we are supporting them.
Right.
So the sooner the better, actually. And as to that, there's not too much else. I managed to lose my cane at the multiplex somehow. If anybody sees it, they can return it.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So the mayor's missing her cane at the multiplex. Please send that back. Very briefly, this is something old that came up at County Council. There was talk about a bypass around Collington. Is that something that you're familiar with? Or?
That came up 10 to 12 years ago.
Okay.
The problem was at that time we were having, this was at the height of the boom, massive truck traffic coming through town, both north and south. So the government did a study and came up with the idea of a bypass around Collington, going back around to Highway 55 East and then back to town across the bridge. I didn't think it solved the problem, because it does not solve the problem if we ever do end up with that issue again of large trucks trying to turn the corner at 50th and 50th here. But they didn't look at the northern traffic. They were just looking at the southern truck traffic at that time.
Okay.
But that is 10, 12 years ago. I don't know if that's still on the books or not.
Apparently it has been brought up. We do have a question from Kendra. What are your thoughts on amalgamation? Being newer to the community, I'm not aware of past conversations on this.
We've got 1 minute. I actually gave a whole workshop on this at AUMA a few years back. We tried to amalgamate around 2002, and the county voted overwhelmingly against it. The town voted in favor of it. It is not a simple thing. If it's done, it has to be done properly, or you end up with a mess that takes years to sort out. Right now, there is no interest at this time. It could happen again, but again, you need to have a reason why. And we found out that reducing the number of politicians and combining finances was not enough.
Yeah, it is a big thing to sort out when you have two administrations and dual roles.
We worked on it over a year, and we had everything sorted right down to the penny. The only thing we could not agree on, meeting times.
That's always an issue. Okay, so that brings us to the end of Town Talk Live with Mayor Colleen Powell. Our next edition viewing will be November 4th. I've lost control of my script here. So thank you to everyone who joined us on Facebook Live and asked questions. Be sure to follow the Town of Athabasca and the Athabasca Advocate Facebook pages and turn on notifications for live events. If you want to watch this again, you will be able to find it at townandcountrytoday.com/Town Talk, or watch for the link on the Facebook pages. So again, November 4th at 1 p.m., where we'll be discussing the next Town Council meeting and answering your questions. So
yeah, we would be better to do this every month.
You think so?
There's not enough every 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll say goodbye for now.
Oh, we're still
We're
live,
still
okay.
alive. We'll have a
Bye,
discussion.
everybody.
Bye.
I thought we were off.
Nope, not yet.